Sometimes I just don't have the emotional stamina to participate in small talk and keep a smile on my face. I might just have to check out for a while. That's one of several things grieving parents want you to know, and I can vouch for that. Tonight, meet a mother and father hurting after their young son died from cancer and hear what else they want you to know. A dream come true for 5-year-old Joel Smith, aka Batman.
All right, let's go get the Joker and Catwoman.
Yeah.
But just days after saving Gotham City from the bad guys,
let's go make sure we got Catwoman taken.
The Cape Crusader lost his fight to brain cancer.
It started on Thanksgiving 2009. Bobby was in Iraq, and I was at Branson with my parents and the boys, and he just vomited.
Amy Smith thought her son had a stomach bug, but the vomiting grew worse after weeks of tests, medicines, and blood work. Finally, a CT scan. You and your husband, you find out your son has a brain tumor.
I lost it.
We were about finished with our tour, and the Red Cross stepped in and sent a request to the command staff where I was at, and they said, get him home ASAP.
Bobby arrived home from Iraq in time for Joel's 12-hour surgery, and the couple stayed at their son's side for chemo, radiation, and the many hospital stays. They celebrated a 10-month-long remission and then watched helplessly as the cancer came back. In the end, you lost Joel.
Right. I don't like the word lost. Hold on. Hold on. He went home.
Grieving a child is intense. They find creative ways to permanently etch his memory in their hearts, including matching tattoos.
The purple butterfly is a symbol of losing your battle, and the gray ribbon, the gray is the color for brain cancer.
The ink, a badge of honor they hope will inspire people to never be afraid to talk to them about Joel. Even as they grieve, Joel's life brings happiness.
I told Amy verbatim, I said, he's going to be a class clown. I said, it takes one to know one, you know. And I said, but he'll be a good class clown. But in the sense that he really enjoyed making other people laugh.
Do you think we're going to be a lot safer now that they're in jail?
Yep. Y'all sure are.
The Caped Crusader will always bring a smile, but the pain and the longing still lingers. What do you miss most about him?
His grin and his hands.
His hands? Why his hands?
Because he would just kind of rub on you.
Amy and Bobby have a younger son, but they say one son cannot replace another. And they know people are gun-shy about mentioning Joel, but they like when people say nice things about him, even if it makes them cry. At Fox16.com, I've listed the 10 things grieving parents want you to know. I've also created a blog so you can jump in the conversation. We've been talking a little bit tonight. Tomorrow night at 9, I talk with an expert who's going to analyze Amy and Bobby's grief and help us all understand the complexity of it. We've heard from so many of you today following our heartbreaking story on the death of 5-year-old Joel Smith. We got a ton of Facebook and email comments. Paula wrote, I watched this story through teary eyes. My husband and I are also grieving parents. And Kai writes, thank you for doing a segment on coping with grief. I struggle daily to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Well, tonight we bring you an expert to analyze the grief of Joel's parents and what many of you are going through.
There's a part of us, especially in the beginning, that if the person who died, if they walked through the door, we would not be surprised. And we would be like, oh, I thought so.
He's right. Sometimes it's hard to face the reality of death. I still struggle with it after my daughter Quea died a few months ago, and I'm not the only one. It often happens with a major loss, like a child. Greg Adams, he is the director for the Center for Good Morning and PAL Care. He's going to listen and analyze the grief of a couple whose son died and help us better understand the complexity of grief. Amy Smith's 5-year-old son Joel died in August from brain cancer. Like many parents, she looks back.
Sometimes when people are dealing with the loss, they feel like there was something more that they could have done. Do you ever feel that way?
Yes, I do. I think, should we have done the alternate treatment sooner? Should you have insisted on this or that?
Our primary responsibility is for our children is to help them grow up and to have a good and long life. And when they don't do that, we can have a sense of failure. I didn't do my job as a parent. I am alive, and my child is not. And so in some sense, I think we end up having to put ourselves on trial.
And sometimes that is so hard to avoid, but Greg stresses it needs to be a fair trial. The smile on Joel's father, Bobby, wow, it just lights up the screen when he talks about his son. But there's a word that he has a hard time with. It's a word that I use all the time, but it just goes to show we're all different.
I don't like the word lost. Hold on. Hold on. He went home.
And I've heard some other folks who talk about that. They don't like that word, that lost had a little connotation of, carelessness and irresponsibility. We shouldn't have done that. I lost my car keys. I lost that opportunity. I shouldn't have missed that. And in that sense, I'd have to affirm him that in that sense of loss didn't fit.
They tell me the first year is the toughest, and for some, that 6-month mark, worse than the very beginning. Family, friends, they all go back to living a normal life, but it can be a time when a grieving person needs support the most.
Oh, it's the fall, and the leaves are changing, and they're dead, and it's Thanksgiving, and they're gone, and Christmas, and wait, this. And I think you can know that, but experiencing that is different. Somebody wrote a little poem one time, said, we thought your dying was the worst thing, and then you stayed dead.
The exact time may vary from person to person, but at some point, a griever should be able to move on with life and take all the love and cherished memories with you.
When do you get over this?
I think if I was to get over it, that would be forgetting him. And, that struggle is part of him. And it's going to get better.
You can see my complete interview with Greg Adams at fox16.com. My blog is there, the 10 things grieving parents want you to know, and so much more. It really is a good resource for you. So go there, go to fox16.com and check it out.